This podcast is part of the GonnaGeek network. The opinions expressed may not reflect those of other podcasts or affiliates of this show or GonnaGeek. Check out other geeky podcasts at GonnaGeek.com. And get ready because geekiness commences in 3, 2, 1...
You have been granted clearance by Director Phil Coulson. Stand by for S.H.I.E.L.D. debriefing. All information to be discussed here is classified and may only be discussed among agents granted clearance by the S.H.I.E.L.D. Director.
Now it's time for your scheduled debriefing. I'm Agent Stargate Pioneer.
I'm Agent Lauren.
I'm Jay, Avocado At Law.
And I'm Consultant Wing.
Welcome to Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D., a Marvel Comic Universe podcast. This is podcast number 77 on Daredevil, Season 1, Episode 3, Rabbit in a Snowstorm. This podcast is recorded on Wednesday, June 3rd, 2015. Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. is a fan-based podcast on the ABC television show Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Marvel's Agent Carter, Marvel's Daredevil on Netflix, and the general Marvel comic universe.
Because of ocular acupuncture.
Oh, God.
Ew.
Oh, nice.
If you'd like to not talk to us about ocular acupuncture, you can get a hold of us because it's icky.
Ew.
You can get a hold of us at our website, legendsofshield.com. You can get a hold of us at our voicemail, 844-THE-BUS-1. That's 844-843-2871. You can find us on our Facebook, Twitter, and Tumblr, all Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. You can find us on our YouTube page at Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. And you can find us at our forums, forums.GonnaGeek.com, or search for GonnaGeek, all one word, on the Tapatalk app.
And up for your 8 mail for that ocular joke, you send that at j@GonnaGeek.com.
So today on Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D., we'll be welcoming both Jay and Wing in a second. We'll be talking about Rabbit in a Snowstorm. We'll go over a review of S.H.I.E.L.D. number 6 by Black Adam. We'll talk about your Marvel news and your feedback and all the great stuff we hear in the chat room as we pass it along. So first of all, Jay, welcome to Daredevil.
Yay! I'm so happy to be here, especially for this episode. It's going to be great.
It is. And as a special guest, I think he's getting a gender reassignment surgery because he wants to be Haley. Welcome, Wing.
Hello. You assume a lot, sir. I'm really, really comfortable with who I am.
Well, yeah, but you're really comfortable with Daredevil too, right?
Yes, I'm really, really happy that this show exists. To be honest, this is one of the best that we've got from Marvel in my book. So I'm really, really happy to be discussing it tonight.
Right. It's a great episode. It's wonderful. And it starts off, we're going to start off with a bang here. No pun intended, but...
See, if you wanted to do the pun, you'd say you'd start off with a smash, and then more smashes, and then repeated smashing until there's bits of blood and brains flying everywhere because what the hell?
And you were the one talking about ocular acupuncture? Ew. Anyway, yes, we'll start off with a smash. You just go to the bowling alley, you want to have a little fun, you get the urge, and then you just kill somebody.
And it's not just like a normal kill somebody, if there can be said to be such a thing. It's really, really, I mean, we've talked before about how brutal the show is in its fights. This was just, I think, the first example of just an absolutely brutal, senseless, all-out attack.
Yeah, it was an execution.
It was an execution.
That was what made it different, though. You don't see that in TV shows.
No.
Yeah.
And it starts like this. I mean,
we had 2 episodes where it was a lot of brawling and fighting and things like that. And then you start the 3rd episode off like this. It was a shock when it happened.
It was. And you're thinking that he was just going to hit him and put him down, send a message or whatever. But no, he was there to kill him. Definitely. And the gun jammed, by the way. And we find out the name of the dude, Turk Barrett.
yes, that was
From the first episode, right?
Yeah, the guy that Daredevil smacked him several times, broke his nose.
Mm-hmm. Selling bad guns. Mm-hmm.
that was really funny though. The way that
It really
was edited.
was.
The way that was edited, it was magic. That's one of my favorite scenes of the episode, to be honest.
It was. This gun's never gonna jam. Gun jams.
Yeah, click.
If you're familiar with guns at all, though, you'll know that if it's a good manufacturer, the odds of it jamming aren't that great. But if you don't take care of it, if you don't oil it, if you don't break it apart, put it back together and make sure it's working, then yeah, it could jam because
or if you just have terrible luck like me. So I went shooting with my father-in-law and my husband's uncle one year. Actually, I think it was Thanksgiving of this past year. And they make their own bullets. They take real good care of their guns. They're a gun family. And we're using an automatic revolver. They're like, yeah, this is a really reliable gun and everything. And so I try it and it jams. They're like, huh. So they take it out, they clean it, they fix it. And then, we're taking turns. Everybody gets to shoot 3 or 4 times. And I try it again, it jams. Like, that's weird. I think I tried it 3 times, and every single time, the first 1 or 2 times, it would jam.
Yeah, that's not lucky. Not lucky at all.
Although, to make up for it, I am apparently a really good shot with a revolver or a rifle.
I see. So, apparently Mr. Healy might be a good shot or might not. We never find out, but afterwards, he just stashes the gun by the pinball machine. It must have been pre-planned. I mean, because Wesley goes and gets it later, and he has no chance to talk to Healy that we know of. So, just must have been planned. And so, he's just sitting there with his hands up on top of his head. It's not his first rodeo.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Just very, very calm, collected. That was that moment where you're like, oh, this is a bad guy.
I love the moment where Foggy's talking to him and they're like, so was it physical assault, verbal assault? He's like, which sounds better?
Yes.
And Foggy just looks at him and he's like, it was both.
Yeah, we're not going to represent this guy. And then Matt comes in.
Yeah, he just comes in. He's like, all right, let's go ahead and get down to this. It was great the way that it played off, because normally, we'd just seen a scene where Matt was the one that was very hesitant, and Foggy's like, no, look, think of the money. You don't see the number of zeros on this check, and then to turn that around almost instantly where, Foggy's starting to get that point, like, no, I don't think that this is a good idea. And Matt comes in, he's like, all right, sit down, let's get to work.
That's another example, though, of what I love about Foggy on this show, is that for all of his bluster, you see he is a decent guy. He has a good conscience.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I love the relationship that starts to build with Karen too.
Yes.
Oh, that's cute.
We talked about it before, the first episode, a little bit last episode as well. There is not a wasted word, a wasted symbol of dialogue. It all means something. And this show is not afraid of the silences, the pregnant pauses.
Mm-hmm.
They will say something and then they'll just let it sit for a little while, and it will actually reference something that's either going on or about to go on, and then it'll move on from there. So like the whole conversation with Wesley in the office, the conference room, whatever, of Nelson and Murdoch, that was just full of innuendo on both sides.
And then it lets you just look at the actors' faces and enjoy their performances. I noted later on that there's a moment where we meet Ben Urich for the first time, and he's talking to his mob informant, and you see the little tremble on this, big tough mobster's lips when he's saying about how of all of the reporters that dragged this guy's name through the mud, only Ben was the one who didn't mention his kids.
Yeah. I noticed that when I was watching it.
Yeah, and you just see the facade crumble right there before he picks himself up again. And you see these little moments throughout the show just over and over again. And I think this episode, since it's kind of one of the quieter episodes, you just really get to enjoy that here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and then you have the moments like, the bowling ball beat down and the very end of the episode. But in between, you can just savor those moments.
I love the fact that they did have humor interspersed throughout. When Wesley first shows up and he knocks on the door, and they all just sit there for like a minute and a half, like, was that a knock at the door?
Yes.
I think it was. Karen, are you going to get that? And it drags out so long, and it was great.
But the show takes its time with everything, with the performance of the actors, with the violence, with the humor. It doesn't try to go too fast. And I think they took advantage of the fact that they had a long canvas, and they can have these moments because they have 13 hours and not 2.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was going to say about that moment is they could have just had them sit there for just one beat and then have her go. But instead, it's just that kind of, did you guys hear that? Are we really?
Mm-hmm.
And then they dragged it out just long enough for you to get that point. And then it's kind of, what I appreciated. Okay, I know this is going to be a weird comparison, but the first Paranormal Activity movie, when I went to go see that in the theaters the first time, when it's still all fresh and new, my husband and I were talking about it afterwards. And we're talking about it. One of the things that we liked about that movie is that normally when I love horror movies, but when it comes to a jump scare, I can count down 3, 2, 1, and then you get the scare. With the first Paranormal Activity movie, I would count down 3, 2, 1, and then you're waiting, and you're waiting, and you're waiting. And then you get the scare. And it was like that at a couple of these moments where they're holding out the tension or the humor until the absolute last second snap. And I love it.
Right. Like when Karen goes to the lawyer's office and gets the settlement from Allied Union. I forget the name of it.
Whatever they are now. They have changed their name.
It was consolidated something. Anyway, she goes to see the lawyer and gets the settlement. And it was so, you're like, oh, you feel like manipulated and like you're being played, but at the same time, it's like, what are you going to do?
Mm-hmm.
Not much.
And exactly, I love that they play with that feeling. You really get the sense of her helplessness here when she's talking to them, when she's talking to the widow of the guy she was with, Daniel.
Yeah. Daniel Fisher, yeah.
And you just get that feeling of how much over her head she's in talking to these people. And especially, you talk to that lawyer, I'm sure the actor's a perfectly nice guy in real life, but you just get that feeling of smarminess, sliminess.
Yeah. But that scene where Karen goes to see Mrs. Fisher, though, I mean, that was painful to watch. I mean, that's just because you can understand, Mrs. Fisher's point of view, but you also know Karen and you know that she's not doing it maliciously or anything. So it's uncomfortable as anything.
Right. Right. Well, first of all, she did get attacked. She was almost murdered twice. And second of all, somebody was murdered in her house. And I can't remember if they went there or she just found him in there.
She said that she took a drink at the bar and then woke up with him dead.
Okay. And they both were probably put under
drugged,
at the bar or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they were put in there. So there's that awkwardness going on too. And she's like, well, you killed him. You tried to kill me and you're just giving me 6 months severance. And I'm guessing she didn't make that much money to begin with. So it's not like it's a couple of $1 million or anything.
No, but when she was talking to Mrs. Fisher, though, she did say they offered me money. They offered me a lot of money. So it might have been a substantial sum, just not,
with the salary.
Huge amount.
Yeah.
Yeah. In a lot of these cases, some of these companies can offer pretty good shut up money.
Mm-hmm.
Shut up money. I like that term.
Well, that's what it is.
Yeah, I agree.
I think the only reason why they didn't try to kill her again is because they had the whole thing going on with Mr. Prohaska. And did you catch why they murdered him, by the way?
Because they want to give Owsley his business.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So, which kind of lends credence to the fact that when we started talking about this, you're like, yeah, this is all an organized thing. Clearly, where the gun would be was premeditated. So this guy was meant to go in, kill this guy, and then take the fall for it.
Yep.
And in the meantime, they would be giving Owsley his holdings and everything. Because, that's just the kind of lovely people they are.
Yeah. Lovely people.
Yeah, they're trying to build a conglomerate. They want to be the only game in town, right? And that's obvious with the other mobster that's leaving and going to Florida. He's like, I'm out,
Mm-hmm.
I just need to go. I'm going to back up the truck a little bit. Beep, beep, beep. Okay, so Matt, before this all starts, meets with the priest. And it's the first time we've seen him with the priest since the first episode in the confessional. Yeah. And he talks about getting the latte. And it's just that. You don't get anything else. It's just, I'll see you later, Father. And that's it.
Yeah, we just see that Matt isn't comfortable talking about what he's been doing yet. Mm-hmm. So we know that he has not really made peace with himself and what he's doing.
Yeah.
That's an understatement.
Yeah.
Right. So you get that from it, but if you're not reading into it, it's almost a wasted scene. It's just like the priest is just there to be seen because he's part of Matt's universe, right? But you're absolutely right. I think, like last episode, we went through the whole thing where Karen was dealing with the demons. And this episode, she's dealing with the fallout. I think this episode, we see Matt start to deal a little bit more with the demons after he's got his butt handed to him last episode.
I really liked that moment, though.
With the priest on the bench?
Yeah, with the priest on the bench, because it's one of the few times that we see Matt with someone that he's close to that's not Foggy, Claire, or Karen. And it's somebody who is not really part of the inner circle, but has this knowledge. So it is somebody who could be maybe not objective, but who in their capacity as a priest and, you know, the confessional and all that can be a sounding board. And he is right now refusing to let him in.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just interesting to see him at this point where he's like, yeah, I'm doing all this stuff and I'm doing all this stuff and I'm throwing myself into it. But he's not kind of willing to accept this about himself, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I don't know. I love the priest, and I think part of that probably comes from the fact that I've already watched the series, and so I know how he is later on.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just sitting and watching this. You can tell this is a guy that he truly cares about his congregation and stuff, and he just wants to be there to help, and he just comes across as probably the only solidly decent person outside of, you know, the main trio that, you know, in the whole of New York.
Well, there's Claire too.
Well, yeah, sorry. Forgot about her. She wasn't in this episode.
No, but she was mentioned. She was name dropped. My best nurse is not here. Remember, in the hospital with Benny?
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even pick up on that.
I did forget that.
Oh, I only picked up on it this second time through. I don't think I picked up on it the first time through. I might have, but I definitely picked it up this time around. So,
Oh, Claire.
Yeah, Claire. So she's hiding out.
Rosario Dawson. She's glorious, y'all. I can't even emphasize that enough.
And she's really good in this part.
Oh,
she's
God, yes.
really good in this part.
Mm-hmm.
I hope they write her back in season 2.
They are. She has confirmed that.
Yay!
Confirmed for season 2.
I know.
That's good news.
Yes.
All right, so can we take a minute and talk about Wesley in this episode?
Yes.
Oh, God, yes.
I mean, from the moment he walks in, he's got his nice guy thing going on, and he's one of those people that if you didn't know how he actually is, it would be very easy to believe that he's a decent person. He's got that fake good guy vibe down when he's out in public.
Like a guy you want to go out and have a drink with after work or something like that.
See, I wouldn't even put out that. I would just say that he's got this kind of like bland fade into the background quality to him if it wasn't for the really nice suit and the fact he's got kind of a good looking face.
Mm-hmm.
He knows how to work a room. He'll come up to you, he'll have an engaging conversation, and then he'll leave. And it's like almost a politician, right? They know how to work the room and leave. Well,
yeah.
Not almost a politician. He is a politician.
Well, yeah, except for a politician wants to be known. He doesn't want to be known. So it's more like a spy, I would say.
But even when he's in a rough situation, I mean, when he's coming out of the bowling alley, he goes to find the gun and he's just very calmly puts his quarter and slides it down to the end. I got next, you know. And then as he's leaving, you know, he waves at the kids. He's like, hey, you know, just real nice and genteel. And then, you know, you see him stuff the gun into his pants as he walks by. It's like, I mean, this is someone that just, I don't know how somebody can be like that different in a second span. But, and then you do get to see a glimpse into his character and stuff where, like, when he says something to Matt and Foggy about getting Karen off for a murder charge, it's like, that wasn't, he's not the kind of guy who lets something like that slip. That was intentional. He said that intentionally because he wanted them to know where he was coming from, basically, the kind of power he had behind him.
Mm-hmm. Well, he's like that all the way through to the end.
Mm-hmm.
He's just got this
right up until he guesses wrong, but you know.
Right. He miscalculated there for sure, but he's got this bravado. He's got this confidence about it. Nothing bad's going to happen to me. And if it does, you know, that's just part of the world he's in anyway. So guest 898 in the chat says Wes is swarmy.
Swarmy?
Swarmy.
Smarmy, I think.
Smarmy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, he's definitely kind of gliding through with this sense of being above everything. And I think part of it is, you know, the whole self-confidence. This is the world he's in. And part of it is knowing that he's got the big boss. He's got the big boss behind him.
Right. Literally and figuratively.
Literally and figured.
Absolutely.
And I know it's skipping ahead, but I really love how they explore that relationship between him and he who must not be named yet.
You must not be named, yes.
Well, I was kind of surprised that Healy actually knew Fisk's name? Because why would he need to know that information? They've protected themselves from everybody else. Why would he need to know that it was Wilson Fisk behind him?
I think that it's probably, he seemed like a kind of guy that knew what was going on. Like, he was intelligent. He wasn't just some random street thug. So I'm pretty sure that he wasn't told who it was, but he was able to figure it out, and he was able to find out on his own. Because, yeah, people don't talk about him, but they really kind of do. They just don't do it where you can get heard.
Again, like Voldemort.
Right. So we are really introduced to Benny in this episode.
Yeah.
The reporter. And we see all sorts of things. We see him meet with the mob guy, which I don't even know the mob guy's name. I don't think we ever see him again. Do we? I don't think we do.
I can't remember.
But he has a great quote. Some fights just get you bloody.
Yes.
And the rest of this episode and the rest of the season is just that way. It's Daredevil. It's just blood and guts and gore all the way through, really. In between some great story and dialogue, too.
Yeah, Daredevil can take a beating in this series.
Oh, and he does at least twice. Because when...
Okay.
In this episode, right? Because he's after the juror, right? He's trying to find out what's going on with juror number 8. And there's that guy that has the sex tape over her. I mean, okay, I think we're in the digital age now where even if you're a mom with kids and you've done something like that when you're 19, okay, move on. It was part of life, right?
Well, you say that, but how many times do we hear about teachers getting fired because somebody leaked something from years and years ago?
Yeah. Okay. But anyway, so he kind of gets a little beat up there. Not so much, but definitely in the last fight with Healy, they go toe to toe for a little bit, and Healy's creative.
Oh, yeah, that's a tough one.
Yeah, Healy's creative. He picks up that pipe at the end, which,
with the bucket.
Yeah.
He gets the pipe and the bucket. That was the thing. Like, he wasn't like, no, I'm putting it all on this one improvised weapon. He knew I'm going to get 2 and throw them off.
A bucket.
That was a tough fight.
Bucket Ninja.
My band name, I called it.
I love seeing Matt fighting against someone who's like on par with him, though. That's when the show like really shines with the fight choreography, because it's just so amazing. The only complaint I had is I wish it had been just a little bit better lit.
Agreed.
And I'm gonna tangent a little bit, but that's why I'm happy that they're not crossing it over with the movie too much, because it works against this guy, but I don't want to see Daredevil against like Crossbone or something like that.
Yeah, Daredevil versus aliens in this continuity would be like weird.
Yeah.
Well, we say that now, but I think if we get a little bit more flashbacks season 2 with the whole stick training and Elektra, I heard at some point in time that Elektra was looking at being cast for season 2.
Oh yeah, they're casting Elise, but given the lines that I saw in the spoiler readings, I think it's pretty obvious.
Yeah. So I think you might get a little bit more along those lines.
We're getting more along the ninja and mystical lines, definitely, especially with, Kunlun with Iron Fist and everything, but...
Right.
I still say that seeing Daredevil fighting the Chitauri would be just a bit too weird at this moment for me.
It would. I wonder if it would. Well,
although I would kind of like to see a flashback of that.
Right. That's what I was thinking. I wonder if it actually happened or not. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. What did he do during the invasion of New York?
He might not have been around. I mean, it was in a certain part of Lower Manhattan, right?
Well, yeah, but he was going to. Well, no, he wasn't going to law school at the time. He was in an internship at the time. And that place that he was at looked fancy, so it might have been in Manhattan.
Yeah, but it wasn't in that 4-block radius.
Got to turn those big... What were those big flying things called? I can't remember.
Leviathans.
Leviathans? Yeah. You got to turn them in the 4-block radius, right? But you see his quote-unquote superpowers a little bit more in this episode with the hearing of the watch, right?
I loved that.
Right. So he hears the watch in the conference room of his law office. He follows him in the street to try to find who the man is behind him. And then whenever he came into the courtroom, he knew instantly that he was there, and he instantly heard the heartbeats of everybody else and saw a correlation of whether or not that they were being hung or not because of the criminal activity. So we definitely see a little bit, and of course the fighting, right? Because, blind guy fighting, that's pretty awesome as it is.
I know we've talked about this a little bit before in previous episodes that we talked about, but I really love how they're doing the whole Daredevil hearing things. in this series, where they just kind of focus in on it. It's not like they did in the movie,
Right.
where they kind of have like a weird effect and everything. With this, there was parts where they would kind of do like a soft focus around everything else and a hard focus on maybe one object or something. But for the most part, they make you focus in on the sound.
Mm-hmm.
And I really like that. Like Kier pointed out, it's all in like the sound mix.
Right. And which is almost virtually not there, right? And that's what makes it sounds like a city. It sounds like an intent city and you could be all alone in it, but these people are together and they're trying to make it better, which is great. But there was that one scene, we're not at it yet, but there was that scene later on where they do the special fiery effect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But the show evolved with the effect. The more you go on, the more the effect become complex. So you kind of learn them one after the other, so it makes it easier to accept. Again, they're taking advantage of the longer canvas there.
Mm-hmm.
So again, for Daredevil, it works.
Right.
Yeah.
And there was that one scene flashback, I believe it was last episode, where he's recovering from the accident, Maddie, the little kid, and you hear him being overcome by all the sounds around him.
Oh, I love the flashback. I just love the flashback.
Did we have a flashback in this episode? I don't
Nope.
think we did.
No, we didn't.
Yeah, this
No.
wasn't an episode that needed one. And also, he didn't get hit hard enough to knock him back. So,
Exactly.
Not this week.
nope.
Oh, I just ran into a note in my notes. It's Confederated Global is the new
Okay, yeah, it used to
Company
be Union
Allied construction, I believe. Yep.
Well, it's easier to change a company name that start another.
Yeah, look at Blackwater, XE, whatever they're called now.
Here you go.
So we mentioned the little call out to Claire, which she wasn't actually named, but it was a call out at that same hospital. It was a great blend of what's going on in pop culture at the time because they were talking about the measles outbreak, about the parents
Yes.
that refused to vaccinate their kids.
Marvel is pro-vaccination, and so am I.
Right. And also, you get to hear and see Foggy and Matt how good of a lawyers they are because they're actually prepping the night before the opening arguments. And you get to hear them talk about the procedures and the specific law and the fact that what they have and what they don't have for both the prosecution and the defense.
I like that you actually get to see Matt being a lawyer. It's not
Yeah.
just all punches and ninja kicks and everything.
And
It's-
he's a really good lawyer, too.
yeah, you actually get him to see him practicing law.
Well, he was the head of his class.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I like that that's something that you can believe when you see him make that closing argument.
Just remember that the Suma's all politics.
Now, you didn't get to see the Evil League of Evil. Is that what we call that?
Yes, but we saw Owlsley, and that's kind of enough because he's evil enough for all of them.
Yeah, we saw the Leland. And well, do we have to do it this way? Why don't we just, can't you just have him hanged in a cell?
It's like he's 5.
And Wesley's like, well, we're trying to do it without attention. And he's like, what? Wait a minute. We've got all this coming down around us and he's decorating his condo.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you got to have priorities.
Apparently.
And he has taste, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unlike Owlsley, Wilson Fisk has taste.
I love the misunderstanding, though. He's like, what's he doing? He's art. Art who? Paintings, you idiot.
Again, Leland Owlsley has no taste. Leland Owlsley is an idiot.
He's got taste. His taste all runs like, cash green.
Yeah.
So I got an idea. Let's have a little poll here on the podcast. What color line would you want a Subway in Hell's Kitchen?
Oh
And
my God.
That was so great because it showed how out of his element that Urich is at this point. He has the ability to really write something that matters. And they're telling him to do a poll on what color the subway line should be in. You can just feel the frustration.
Again, I would like to point out how the hell are charts sexy, but conspiracy stories aren't? When has that ever been true?
Chart are sexy.
Yeah,
Only
it's
if
visual.
they are charts of like genitalia.
Have you ever seen an issue of USA Today? It's all flashy, colorful, circular pie charts and bar charts.
People don't pick up the newspaper to read it. God, no.
Yeah, come on.
No, they speed read it.
Okay. Well, that's what I get for reading like actual political blogs instead of newspapers now, I guess.
Well, and that's what their point is. Everybody they know is making at least twice as what they are making, sitting at home in their underwear, writing blogs.
Wish I could get paid for doing that.
I know, which is the fallacy because bloggers don't make crap, but
I know.
Just want to make sure everybody's in their underwear right now, huh?
Well, I may or may not have underwear on, you know.
No
Good night, everybody.
So, but Ben, and you see the torture that Ben is going through with his wife.
Oh, man. Okay, so the first time I watched the show, I was trying to figure out what was wrong with her, and I was thinking, well, later on, he says that he met her at a military hospital. So I was thinking, well, maybe it's a traumatic brain injury, maybe it's Alzheimer's. But then he says, I want her to come home. So I'm thinking maybe it's a stroke. I can't quite figure out, and I don't think they ever say.
I think it's just Alzheimer's.
I think it's Alzheimer's.
Because they mentioned that she had a good day. She was herself for a half an hour. And that's what it is with Alzheimer's. It comes and goes. And
I know. My grandpa had Alzheimer's. But then at the same time, you would have to be in a long-term care facility and not a hospital. So that's why I was thinking it's along the lines of a stroke, like something acute.
Yeah, he just wants her to get better, and he's wishing beyond wishing. I think that's the point there. Hey, Lauren, Neil's calling you out in the chat. He says, stop making fun of the accountant.
But Leland's terrible. It's nothing against accountants. My cousin's an accountant, but Leland is terrible.
He's funny.
You know, I mentioned on the first episode that we had for the series here that Leland, he doesn't do any of this flippantly. He's doing it on purpose. He has a plan. He has an out. He's just waiting to get there. He knows this is all going to collapse at some point in time, and he's just waiting for that moment to pull his trump card.
Yeah, he's trying to
Trump
pad
card.
the account as much as he can before it happens.
Right.
It's funny because you said Trump card and he is terrible like Donald Trump.
That was intentional. It was one of the few things. Like all the phrasing stuff's not intentional. That was intentional. So there you go. Yeah, he's just trying to pad his account. He's trying to play it. He's trying to get all the money he can before he flies off to, I forget where it was, Aruba, Bermuda, something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, one of those Caribbean islands where they can't extradite you.
That's right.
We love those, don't we?
All right, so are we ready to talk about the end? About the fight at the end?
Which part? The fight at the... Yeah, let's do that first, and then we'll talk about the next one.
So that was the first part, the big part at the end. Let's just get that out of the way real quick. The ocular acupuncture. Marathoning this show. That was the first part while watching the series that I actually screamed.
Really?
Yes. I
can see that. I mean, that was pretty gruesome, and it was scary, but...
I am honestly not a squeamish person. But that was so unexpected and so gruesome that it took me by surprise, and it was horrible. So yes, I screamed.
The part that killed me, going back and watching it the second time, knowing what was coming, I really had to stop and think. I'm like, okay, so Matt's stabbing him, and if he's ready to get up 45 seconds later and do that to himself, why is he freaking out because Matt is threatening death or something? Like, if he's willing to kill himself because he gave up Fisk's name, why is it that just getting cut on for a little bit is enough to make him freak out?
Right. I thought about that the whole time. Like, right after he did it, he all of a sudden has remorse or something, and it's like, oh, I need to do this because I gave it up. No, You'd go to the death from the beginning. He's that smart. You see him when he's dealing with the lawyers. You see him in the courtroom. I totally agree. That was total mismatch of the dude.
I'm wondering if it was... Okay, I watch a lot of court TV. I read a lot of true crime cases because there's something wrong with me. And you see a lot of times... It is interesting.
Yeah.
I really like knowing why people do horrible things. And one of the things that you always see with, well, not always, but one of the things that you frequently see with some people is that they will have this slip of conscience where they want to tell somebody this horrible secret. So they will start kind of boasting about these horrible things. Like Ed Gein, he was not really a serial killer. He only killed like 2 people. But he's the one that like dug up dead bodies and stuff like that. He's the one that Norman Bates is based on. But he would joke around in town when they would ask where this person is. Oh, they're in my basement. Ha ha. And I think it might have been a situation like that where he had just the secret pressing on him so long that it slipped out.
I like that theory.
I'm so sorry. I know a lot of horrible things, and I am really sorry.
I mean, that is a possibility. The other thing I was thinking is like, maybe he's just very, very bad at withstanding torture. The idea of death doesn't scare him, but prolonged torture just is his thing. So maybe that's what it was.
That's also a good thing. Well, a good theory. I mean, it is also a good thing to not want to be tortured.
The one of us who lives the closest to Lauren is Jay, eh? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm good.
They're all in that country called Texas, and everything north of Texas is Canada, right, Jay?
Exactly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, there's South Canada and then there's proper Canada, but yeah, it's basically that. Yeah.
There's South Canada.
I once saw on Skippy's list, it's a list of things that Skippy is no longer allowed to do in the military. I will no longer refer to the United States as Texas and those 49 other lesser states.
Yeah. Oh, that was gruesome. I will disagree a little bit, Lauren, well, it's not a disagreement. It's just where you felt like you were surprised and shocked about the gore and everything. It was really at the beginning of this episode for me, or sometime in the previous two episodes, but especially when he's torturing the guy on the rooftop with Claire. That was pretty gruesome to me. That was, ooh.
That was nothing.
See, that was way less gruesome to me than the bowling ball smash and the eye stab.
Right.
Let's be honest, the bowling ball smash changed the game because they started the episode that way.
Do you think it was a 16-pound ball or an 8-pound ball or what?
It's a big ball.
It had to have at least been 12.
It had to. I mean, I usually use like an 8 or 9 pound ball when I go bowling, and I'm small. So.
Right.
I loved, one thing I did enjoy about that though is like when it happens, Matt's reaction. Like, I mean, this is somebody that has tortured people, who has been on death's doorstep himself like multiple times. And yet this is enough to make him freak out. Like he's starting to lose it at that point. He's like, I mean, you can tell he is shaken. And
wouldn't you be?
Well, yeah. And that's the thing. It is such a realistic reaction. You don't have the stoic superhero face. Like he just watched some dude stab himself through the head. And that's how you react to that. I don't care if you have superpowers or not.
It's like, ew. Ew. And then all the way up to the end. I mean, it was a classic fight. Healy is probably the most capable opponent that he's had so far. Singular opponent, anyway, that he's had so far. So I was really interested to see that fight and see who came on top. And Matt, I don't know what Matt was going to do with him, or Daredevil, whatever we want to call him when he's masked up. I don't know what he was going to do with him.
Captions call him the Masked Man, or the Man in Black. I'm sorry.
Right.
Which I refuse to call it because I associate it with the Princess Bride.
Well,
I do not think that word means what you think it means.
When you look at the suit in the Princess Bride, kind of.
I mean, if he had eye holes, maybe, and a sword, and if it wasn't like Under Armour.
Well, you got stick at some point.
Yeah.
Right.
I guess you have to make adaptations for what century it is.
Yeah.
Okay, so at the end, the last scene, right?
Yes.
Yes.
You see the big reveal, and you have to watch the series all the way through, and you get the meaning of it. Is such a deep scene. So, wow.
Yes. The rewatch just kind of hit me harder again because you realize why this piece meant so much to him and why when I first watched it and Vanessa walks up to him and she's like, how does this piece make you feel? And he said, alone. At first I was like, is he brushing her off?
Yeah.
Because she just kind of stands there and then walks off. And then you realize later on, no, that's not what he meant at all. At first I was thinking he's just really bad at flirting, but no.
That flirting was obvious, seeing it this time. It's the style that they both are. Now, she might be a little bit less evil at this point in time, but she's got it in her.
They are such an interesting couple throughout the series, though. Like, I follow somebody on Tumblr who is a huge fan of them both in the series. She's like, why isn't there more Fisk and Vanessa fan fiction out there? So I was like, I think it's because he looks like a giant baby in a suit. And I'm kind of sad to say that might be the case.
You see the cufflinks, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So you see the cufflinks, you see him looking at the picture, which is basically the wall that we see later on. You know the meaning behind it, which I'm not going to give everything away here if you haven't seen it yet, but that scene, if you haven't watched all the way through the series
suffice to say, there's a deep meaning, meaningful
you got to
meaning.
go back to this scene after you've gone all the way through the end and just watch this last 2 minutes or whatever it is, and you'd be like, oh wow, that's what they were getting at. Oh wow. And the first time you watch it, that's just the reveal of Wilson Fisk, right?
Yeah.
And you see him, it's this big, stark black outline against this gradients of white giant painting.
Mm-hmm.
And it just looks so amazing. Just the way that scene is framed, the music, the way that everyone's just leaving him alone until Vanessa walks up to him. I love that reveal just so much.
The questions that Vanessa's asking him or prodding him and what, she's not doing a sales job at all. She's just, and that's kind of what I mean with flirting. Obviously, she's trying to sell a painting, but she's trying to, is this somebody that I want to sell this painting to? And
yeah.
And his reaction is not like, okay, what do you see or whatever? It is, I feel alone. And that whole scene, it just says it all for the evil side between those two for the rest of the series.
And I love that she's the one flirting with him because, once you see more of him, that I love the way that they did quiet, kind of anxious Wilson Fisk, because it does give him something to prove. And it does give him this just barely restrained rage that you just see in every line of his body language and the way that he makes his words just bitten off. And you only get the barest hint of that here. And you see kind of him making fists while he's standing there.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it's to show off the cufflinks when he's doing it. But yes, it's not.
But at the same time, it's that whole, he's not comfortable and there's just a tension in him. And I love it. Just the standout for me in this series was Vincent D'Onofrio. And I did not expect that at all. I mean, I love Vincent D'Onofrio and pretty much everything he's in, but I did not expect to love him this much as Kingpin.
No, that was a case when they announced him. I was like, what?
Mm-hmm.
Seriously? Okay, maybe. Then we saw its bald head, and it always helps when a character is bald and you saw them bald. Don't ask me why, but it helps. That's the reason why everybody was seeing Lex Luthor as Walter White.
Yeah.
He's bald. Look at him. He's bald. Yeah, okay. Yeah. We get it.
This was a hell of a way to introduce the Kingpin, though. I mean, if you know the character, I've watched it twice now, and both times it has given me chills. Mm-hmm. I mean, it is absolutely perfect.
And by the way, I've been to 2 cons in the past 3 weeks. 3 weeks.
You don't get
2
time.
weeks, 3 weeks. I don't remember time anymore, but I've seen people costuming as Wilson Fisk in both of them, in both the beginning and end costumes and in the Spider-Man animated cartoon costumes. And it's kind of awesome, especially when you see somebody, a big guy, like huge, tall, walking around this big black costume. It just kind of, after seeing the series, it just kind of gives me the shivers. It's amazing.
Oh, talking about cosplay, I'm going to just throw this in there right now. I don't remember if it was the Dallas Comic-Con or Comic-Palooza. I think it was Comic-Palooza that Stanley was there. It was Dallas.
He was at both.
Well, I saw a picture of him next to a incredible Groot cosplay.
That was in Dallas, yes. That guy that did the Groot cosplay actually had a panel.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
A cosplay panel or a panel on Guardians of the Galaxy?
It was a cosplay panel.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, no, he was there on Saturday morning. That Groot cosplayer was there greeting people as they walked in to register and pick up their badges.
I'll have to find that picture and put it in the show notes. It is the cosplay. It actually looks like the dude is in the movie. It's so good. And he's standing right next to Stan Lee. Oh.
It's great.
So the title of this episode is A Rabbit of the Snowstorm. And I forgot the whole plot and whatever of the episode because you lose the specific episode stuff when you watch all 13 episodes in a row. So I was like, Rabbit and Snow, what is that? I don't remember. And so I'm watching the episode as it goes along, and every once in a while I'll be like, Rabbit and a Snowstorm, what the heck? And it gets to this, and I'm like, oh, I will always remember this episode then from the end. Yeah, by name. So very good.
What's that old joke? You show somebody a piece of white paper, say, what is it? It's a rabbit in a snowstorm.
Yep. We call that...
We always said polar bear in a snowstorm.
We just call that outside in February, Minnesota. Yeah, that's just... Anyway.
It was funny in Texas because we didn't have snow. Now we do.
That's
Weather's
incorrect because I've been in Texas with 8
I said
inches of
now we
snow.
do.
Okay.
Now we do. Weather is getting weird.
The weather's getting weird. Yes, there's snow.
Yeah. It snowed in Kingsville in 2004, so.
It's just conforming to your mind, Lauren. That's
I
all.
guess so.
So, do you guys have a favorite part of the episode that we might have already talked about or whatever?
No, that ending is
Yeah.
the best part of this episode. That's it.
Yeah, the introduction of Wilson Fisk is probably my favorite part.
Mhm.
Yeah. I was telling SP earlier today, I was like, I didn't realize this because he reached out to a bunch of people and said, which episodes do you want to come on the show for? And I picked some out, and every last one of them, I didn't do it consciously, but I went back and looked at it. I'm like, every one of these is because of Wilson Fisk. Every last one of the ones I picked. Yeah.
Again, he is probably the standout character of the show, which is kind of awesome.
I don't know about that. I mean, the entire cast is great. A lot of people.
The entire cast is great, but I remember right after I finished watching the show, I was sitting there and I'm thinking, I never thought that I'd love Wilson Fisk as much as I do.
It might have been the way it ended because there's a specific visual I have in my head of the way it ended, even if it isn't the actual last scene, but it has to do with Wilson Fisk. So that's my last memory of the whole series so far. Oh, this is so great. Every episode, it's just, I just can't wait to watch it and talk about it on the podcast. It's great. And I'm so glad we're doing this again. So saw all 13 episodes, was great. I felt totally exhausted by the end, and watching this one episode week by week is great. What Kier's been doing, rewatching it as he's cooking, that's great. I'm enjoying savoring these episodes one by one, the second watch through. It's been very enlightening. Really enjoy it. Yeah. So you guys have any last words here on the episode?
No, I don't think so. It was so great to see this all again because like you said, you lose a lot of the details when you marathon it. So going back and actually taking the time to really dig into it was fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah, you get a lot of those little character moments that you either miss the first time or that you have better context for the second time around. Mm-hmm. And again, just savoring those little moments. Oh, I love it.
Yeah. And we'll definitely have both Wing and Jay on the podcast again. Jay has got a couple more episodes. Wing's got an episode in the future. So we will enjoy talking more Daredevil with both these gentlemen. And hopefully Haley will be back. She tried to, what, Lauren, she was trying to emulate you, and she was trying to do some Black Widow training. So she couldn't be here this week. And Wing stepped in at the last moment. Thank you very much, Wing. Really appreciate you coming on. All right. So we're part of the GonnaGeek Network. Every single co-host on this week is part of the GonnaGeek Network. And we have a small show on the network called Tyrion's Landing. And this week they talk in their episode 87, Hardhome. Cersei is a prisoner. Arya is a liar. Sansa is a captive. Tyrion and Dany are sparring, and the Walking Dead has invaded Westeros. Jeannie, Nikki, and Rachel break it all down for you. So go ahead, check out. That is episode 87. You can find it at GonnaGeek.com. Momoa. You guys ready to talk some news now?
Absolutely.
That bump courtesy of Kier from Gallifrey Public Radio, another podcast on the GonnaGeek.com network. So Haley's not here. We didn't get any quotes this week. Maybe we can double up next week and she can talk about some quotes that we didn't get to this week. And she also normally does the ratings and the box office numbers. So I had to pull some out, which wasn't easy this week, by the way, because Box Office Mojo was down where we normally get our I'm like, really? The website is down? And they said, yeah, we're revamping our database. It's down. So I'm like, where am I going to find these? So
Naturally.
I went to this other place called Box Office Guru, and it said that the domestic box office is now up to $427 million. And international is standing at $894 million, which brings the total to about $1.32 billion. With Japan still to open, they're hedging their bets and saying it's at least going to be a $1.45 billion movie. So that's impressive.
That's a lot of money. So are people still let down by the performance of Avengers?
Yeah, Age of Ultron, you mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, It was a good movie. I'm glad it was well received. I think that the box office is a little bit more competitive this year than it was a couple of years ago. So I'm not surprised at all. And let's face it, a lot of people are waiting for it to come out on DVD or Blu-ray or whatever and just enjoy it that way as well from home.
Yeah, that's it. I think the first one had the advantage of it was the first time
Exactly.
ever that something like that happened. So,
I am glad I went to go see it in the theater, though.
but we're talking $1.5 billion. This is not a
Yeah.
disappointment.
No, I don't think you can be too disappointed about anything that has the word billion in its.
You know what
Yeah.
I'm disappointed on? I haven't had a chance to talk about this at all. Tron 3 was canceled. I'm like, Disney, I want to wring your
I
freaking
know.
necks over that.
I am so angry about this.
Just because Tomorrowland tanked, really? It was going to make money. It wasn't like Tron was going to tank.
Well, their point is that it's supposed to be $1 billion franchise and it's not. So they're like, why pump money into this?
Because you can still make a little. I mean, you could still make a couple $100 million. It's not chump change. Anyway.
Well, in the world in which we live, I mean, I love the world in which we live where we have these magnificent movies. We have these Mad Max and everything. But you know what? The more you pay for these, the less smaller movie you get. So
Yeah, but they're depriving us of Olivia Wilde in one of those tight suits.
yeah, I know. What can I say?
I wanted to know what would happen after Olivia Wilde's character came into the real
The
world.
real
and
world,
everything.
yeah.
I wanted to know what would happen.
I guess we're just not ready as a society to find that out yet.
Probably not.
And give it another 20, 30 years, we might find out.
I know. I'll still be, if Olivia Wilde wants to put on the suit, then I'm fine with that. Okay. So also, we had to deal with another little disappointment. So I have been giving the live plus 7-day ratings for the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. episodes, and it takes 3 weeks to get those numbers out. So this was the week where we got the numbers for SOS Part 1 and 2, which the live ratings were kind of a disappointment. They came in at 3.95. Now, I don't have the live plus 7-day ratings because it didn't fall. The actual numbers for the original live plus same day fell below the 25 or so. So they didn't talk about them for the live plus 7 days. Now we did get partial. So 92% was the increase live plus 7 day for the key demographic of 18 through 49. So that's pretty good. There was another, I can't remember the show, but there was another show that got 110%. It wasn't Flash. It might have been The Following. And so that's really good. But I don't have the final numbers, and we'll probably never know because if it doesn't make that list, the public doesn't find out. So we'll never find out how well.
Ooh.
Yeah. Really looking forward to seeing, because it was going to be big. 92%, that's a big in the key demographic. So it was probably just over 7, probably 772, something like that. But we'll never know. Bummer. Okay. Well, talking about a plus in the Marvel Disney cat. Stan Lee is now the confirmed highest grossing movie producer of all time.
And he never produced technically anything. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, you mean movie, because he's produced comics.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Right,
But
right.
I mean, in movies, it's movie producer of all time. I mean, he showed up for his cameos and everything, but he's not a movie producer.
Right, right.
He's a character creator.
So on that list, Wing, who would you count as the number one of all time then?
The highest movie producer of all time?
Right.
James Cameron.
Steven Spielberg.
Oh, I knew that was going to cause. Okay, we'll take a look at the numbers. We'll get back to everybody on that.
I agree that James Cameron has bigger it, but he has way less.
Oh, yeah, no. If you're saying which one's better, I'd have to go with Steven Spielberg. But if you're going with the highest grossing, James Cameron.
Okay, there you
Kevin Feige's still on the list.
Yeah.
Language.
go. Thank you, Lord. I was just about to say that. Nice pull. All right, that's never going to go away. It's always going to be there. Okay, so I think we talked about one of these last week. If we didn't, Marvel's Daredevil, the opening credits were done in both Law and Order style and Night Court style.
We talked about the Law and Order one last week. I have not seen the Night Court one. I used to love that show when I was younger, so I'm going to have to watch this later on.
It's really fun. And yeah, Night Court, if you don't know, is a less serious sitcom version of Night Law. And of course, Law and Order is a more serious thing. And Vincent D'Onofrio
He was on Criminal Intent.
Okay.
I watched all the Law and Orders, okay? Which explains a lot of things.
For those of you maybe not in the United States and you're listening to this podcast, Law and Order Criminal Intent, that was the full title. That was what Vincent D'Onofrio was on. So that was kind of meta seeing him in these credits.
The one that he was on was the one where you would also get some of the point of view of the criminal, and then you'd have the detectives, and Vincent D'Onofrio played one of the detectives.
Yeah. But he was off. He was a little odd. He was clairvoyant or something. I don't know.
No, he wasn't clairvoyant. He was just kind of temperamental, very intuitive, kind of quiet, a little bit, just not a really pleasant person to be around, but he was good at his job.
Mm-hmm.
But he wouldn't hit suspects like Stabler would on Special Victims Unit. Okay, I've spent a lot of my childhood and adult life watching various iterations of Law and Order. Mm-hmm. While watching it with my dad, who was in law enforcement and constantly yelling at the TV. That's not how it's done. That guy would be kicked off the force so fast. Just stuff like that. So
yeah, I used to watch Law and Order. I forget why I stopped. I guess there was just the growing sci-fi fantasy stuff on TV, comic book stuff kind of took it over for me, but there's a ton of it on there.
By the way, J. August Richards, who plays Deathlock, used to be on Law and Order Trial by Jury, which only lasted for 12 episodes.
Right.
It's all connected.
It's all connected.
Hashtag, yeah. Mm-hmm. So talking about it's all connected, Lauren, remember last week when we were talking about Haley Atwell at the con, and she gave that one quote, which is in the outtakes of the previous episode, Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. number 76. She mentioned that she just happened to run into Angelina Jolie in the coffee line.
Yes. So about that, according to Complex.com, there is a rumor, kind of a strong rumor, that Angelina Jolie has been tapped to direct Captain Marvel, and that they're hoping that with this news, Charlize Theron has been offered $20 million Angelina Jolie's been offered $20 million to direct Captain Marvel, and Charlize Theron might be offered the role of Carol Danvers. Now, after seeing her in Mad Max as Imperator Furiosa, I'm willing to follow Charlize Theron just about anywhere.
Now, haven't they already cast Captain Marvel, though?
No, they haven't.
Oh, I thought they casted her and they filmed something that was never shown in Avengers.
No, they didn't.
Go figure.
So that could be cool.
Yeah, that could be cool. Now, I don't know who put this next story in the chat, but the title kind of infuriates me a little bit.
It was from Ilyana, I think.
Okay, Carol. Thank you very much, Carol. So apparently Nick Fury's might be on hiatus. His future might be parked a little bit for a few years.
Why?
Well, okay, this is on Cinema Blend. And while promoting the upcoming action film Big Game, Sam Jackson said that they were talking about Captain America's Civil War. And he said, I'm not in it. I guess I'm still out there trying to figure out what happened to S.H.I.E.L.D. and who these other people are. So we might not be seeing Nick Fury for a bit. Who knows? It might be them trying to conserve Sam Jackson's movie deals with them.
Yeah.
It might be them just trying to keep the character fresh. Who knows?
That's what I would go for. There's so many people in Civil War already. I'm okay with Nick Fury setting this one out. I mean, he's been there since the start. It's okay that we leave space to other character. I know Thunderbolt Ross isn't there. That's exciting to me.
Yeah, especially since, honestly, he didn't really have that much to do in Avengers 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, I mean, also, you have to remember that Nick Fury wasn't in at least the first half of the Civil War story. So, depending on how they want to do this, if they stick close to the comics, there wasn't a lot for him to do in there either.
Yeah, I'm going back a couple months ago, and I don't have the link or anything to throw out there, but I do remember Sam Jackson saying that he would love to be involved in more stuff. So I don't know if that was just a nudge in the contractual negotiation side.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah, right. Or if he knew that something was coming up or whatever. So we'll just see. Do you think he would have time to do a weekly television show?
I don't know.
He's Sam Jackson. Maybe.
He's Sam Jackson. He can do anything.
Yeah, I guess we've seen weirder stuff.
He loves doing these things that count for something. I think the guy doesn't need money anymore. He's doing this for fun. If he loves doing that, why not?
Yeah, and we know that he loves being involved in the Marvel Universe. He's made such a big deal about how I'm Nick Fury. I'm in charge of everything. I love this. So let him be on the TV show.
Yeah, let him. Yeah, let him. Marvel, let him. We wants to see it.
We wants it, precious.
Yeah. Okay.
Precious.
So I had put this in the notes a few days ago. It is a 1-minute melee, Catwoman versus Black Widow. Lauren, have you seen this all the way to the end yet?
I have not. This is something I'm going to need to watch later.
Yeah. Go ahead, watch it, and then we'll come back and revisit it next week, and I want your reaction on how it ended. Because you're such the Black Widow fan.
Yes.
Okay. So also, this was kind of a comment. You know, we have covered a little bit of Star Wars stuff because it all falls underneath the mouse umbrella, and Marvel's part of the mouse, whatever. So it is joint Marvel or comic book and Star Wars stuff. And I actually might have to go ahead and get these nerdy keyboard keys. Yeah, there was a bunch of outlets that covered it a few days ago. Right. It's awesome. I don't know what kind of keyboard they really fit, so I don't know.
I mean, just pop off your own keys and put them on there.
Yeah, but I mean, some have the little profile keys and whatever. I just don't know, but they're awesome, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
I love them.
But which key do you change?
All of them.
All of them.
Well, how do you know where you're typing?
There's a Heisenberg for H. There's a Baymax for B. There's an Avenger sign for A. There's a Darth Vader for D. There's a Cap's shield for S or C, depending on which.
This is how we lose all knowledge.
No, this is how you make it better.
Because we can't read it anymore.
This is for people who don't have to stare at their keyboard to type.
Exactly.
And it also prevents people from using your computer that don't get it.
No.
But it's amazing.
Yeah, right. It's great. And then the last news story that we have here, we kind of foreshadowed it again. We're talking about Haley Atwell again.
Okay. So when she was at Comic-Con, however much time ago that was, Comic Palooza, I guess it was like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I don't remember time anymore either.
I don't remember when, but she was only there for one day. She was there on Friday, and at her panel, which Eric from Art House Legends so graciously recorded for us. And again, a million thank yous, Eric.
Yes, thank you, Eric. And if you haven't seen it, go to the GonnaGeek.com website. It is posted there on the GonnaGeek YouTube channel.
She said that she was going to crash the set of Cap 3, which she did, and she posted the pictures on Twitter. My favorite one is the one of her pointing to Chris Evans while making a face that says, "Found this ugly guy." And Chris Evans, which is not collected in this post on, oh no, they didn't. Remember when this ugly guy scared the crap out of you? Unfortunately, I can't tweet the video because Peggy says a bad word. And then there's also pictures of her. God, her smile is adorable. Making faces with the Russo brothers, saying, "Yep, I'm on set," being really useful. There's her and Chris Evans playing games on the iPad. And there's her with the makeup artist. And then her taking a picture of Anthony Mackie. Do some work, Mackie!
Yeah, do some work.
Basically, Haley Atwell is adorable.
Yeah, she is. Because, Anthony, you weren't in Avengers where you were supposed to be in Avengers. We talked about it before. It just riles me up every single time.
I know. I have been ranting about this constantly.
It's specifically what his character is meant to do, and he's not there.
I have just been so... So this past weekend, I was at a different con, and I was hanging out with my best friend. So while we were waiting in line to meet Carrie Fisher, who, by the way, is adorable and tiny and brought her dog, we spent a good chunk of time while I was trying to... By the way, hi, if I met you in line at Dallas Fan Expo and I gave you the card for Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D., hello. And also, if you overheard me ranting about how Falcon really should have been in Avengers, I'm very sorry that you had to listen to me rant about that, but I'm going to rant about it again. He should have been there.
He should have. He should have. Absolutely. Because, okay, for those of you that don't know or don't get it, he plays a character that rescues people in combat situations, which is exactly what they were trying to do, getting the people on the carrier. Like,
come on, y'all!
Ah.
Seriously!
All right.
Never not be angry about that.
So, out of all the people that you've seen at these two cons, Haley Atwell, Rosario Dawson, Carrie Fisher, Ming-Na, who's your favorite? Do you have one? Or are they all melting your brain?
Adam West. Always Adam West.
Always.
Oh, jeez.
Rosario Dawson is just a perfect beacon of beauty and grace, everything out of life.
There you go.
Although Carrie Fisher was also awesome and Ming-Na was very nice. But, I mean, Rosario Dawson, just hard eyes all the way.
Mm-hmm.
She's amazing.
All right.
Also, I got to take pictures of Barbara Eden when she wasn't looking because she was busy signing for other people.
Nice.
Yeah. I grew up watching I Dream of Jeannie, so that was pretty cool. By the way, y'all, go to conventions. They're fun.
Yeah, definitely. And talking about conventions, on the last Gallifrey Public Radio, Jay actually mentions in their news story section about San Diego Comic-Con, right, Jay?
Yeah, that did come up in conversation.
It did. About how Doctor Who is actually coming back to Comic-Con. I don't know if the last time they were there, I was there, or if there were one in between or whatever. The last time I was at Comic-Con in 2011, on Sunday morning, they did a panel in Hall H, and people were waiting starting about Saturday at noon for the Doctor Who panel, so that was awesome. But
it's terrifying.
This week, in episode 138, Popular Music in Doctor Who, Jay and Kier take a look at the inclusion of popular music in Doctor Who to date and ask if there is a justifiable place for the use of licensed song material, and beyond that, the risky inclusion of musical performances within the program, or inversely, if it's time to put the iPod away and focus on other aspects of the show. So go check that out at GallifreyPublicRadio.com or on the GonnaGeek network.
So what you're saying is Taylor Swift needs to be a companion.
Yes.
Yes, that's the exact scenario we came to. Yeah.
Really?
Actually,
No.
they did talk about it, yeah.
Oh. Because if you had Taylor Swift, she could bring her cats, and then you would have Taylor Swift plus cats plus Time Lord in history and space, and that would be awesome.
I would pay money to see Peter Capaldi's Doctor with an infestation of cats in the TARDIS control room. I think that would be
Let me write the
yes.
show. Let me write the show, BBC.
Oh, Lord, you are great. You and Haley, you need to be employed by both BBC and Marvel now.
You might use a flamethrower, I'm just saying.
No.
Yes, he's Peter Capaldi. Come on.
All right. Say,
Cats everywhere! Ah!
But he speaks cat, right? I mean, he speaks every language, so he speaks cat.
Can you speak cat?
I'm not sure, but I did see a great picture on Kier's Instagram of his cat trying to be his podcast host.
Oh. Yeah, I saw that one. It's cute.
Yeah, I hearted it. Yeah.
See, that cat cooperates. My cats don't. My cats are awful.
I think he just caught it in a weak moment. So I'm guessing the three of you actually read comics, right?
Yes.
from time to
Yeah,
time.
they were.
Yeah, we got a little special thing next in the next segment. So you guys ready to hear that?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. We got a voice. Well, I won't call it a voicemail, but we got some audio from Adam.
Yay.
And he's talking about the latest S.H.I.E.L.D. comic that dropped, I believe, the week before last, S.H.I.E.L.D. number 6. You guys ready to hear what he has to say?
Of course.
Absolutely.
This is Consultant Black Adam with your mission report on S.H.I.E.L.D. issue 6. With the completion of his spell last issue, Dormammu has begun transforming humans into mindless ones, starting with the smartest, including Fitz and Simmons. With all the magical heroes incapacitated as part of the spell, it's up to Coulson, May, Maria Hill, and some rather unusual allies to stop the mindless plague. The art is more traditional this issue, but it fits the story better than last month's style would have. It seems like the new agent introduced in this issue was just weird for the sake of being weird, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see him again if we deal with any other magical topics. It's nice to have 4 of these first 6 issues actually make up a storyline, considering that the first few seemed very standalone. This issue focused more on the plot than the characters, but one of the guest characters was a nice tie-in to the show. Now to news related to the S.H.I.E.L.D. comic. S.H.I.E.L.D. issue 7 releases on June 24th, 2015, and here is the solicit. The S.H.I.E.L.D. agent you've been demanding, Skye, aka Quake, aka Daisy Johnson, has only one ally she can turn to, her father, Mr. Hyde. In addition, S.H.I.E.L.D. Volume 1, Perfect Bullets, the trade paperback of issues 1 through 6, will release on July 14th, according to Amazon.
Have you guys been keeping up with the comic?
I've been waiting for the trade, so looking forward to July 14th.
Yeah. Yeah, I got these on Comixology. They've been dropping. I am a couple of issues, almost said episodes. I'm a couple of issues behind, so really looking forward to reading this. It is great.
Yeah, since I don't do comic book Legends anymore, I'm mainly into indie stuff these days.
Mm-hmm.
Haven't been into the big two.
A lot of good stuff. I've been hearing you on Legends talking about Leviathan and Saga.
Oh, Leviathan's so
Saga.
good. Saga's so good. Saga is still the best. Saga's still.
Yes, I love Goose.
Yeah.
I guess Beef just got to some of the trades and he's just been pouring over them. So it's really fun listening to him.
Welcome to Sextillion.
So that's fun. All right. You guys have anything more to say about Marvel Comics specifically?
If you're not following Secret Wars, it's a hell of a ride. And I know it's been mentioned before, but Deadpool's Secret Wars is so great because they actually take Deadpool and they put him back in the 1980s version of Secret Wars. So it's like he showed up to the wrong Secret Wars, and it is brilliant. It is absolutely great.
Okay, I need to check that one out. I checked out the Secret Wars 1602 last week, I think it was, because I was like, Kate Bishop, and that was a lot of fun.
And I just want to say thank you. This is the second time we've heard from Adam with an audio file on the S.H.I.E.L.D. comics, and we really appreciate you keeping everybody up to date on it. So if you want to give Adam a shout out, go ahead and thank him yourselves, because we definitely appreciate him chiming in.
Thank you, Black Adam.
Yeah, thanks, Black Adam.
Thank you.
All right, you guys ready to get to some feedback?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, this isn't really feedback, but the first tweet that I put, it's got to go in the show notes. And it's from a little listener called at Sithwitch. It was posted on May 30th, and it simply says, in caps, my queen. And it is Lauren, our very own Agent Lauren, standing in a fighting pose next to Agent Melinda May.
Yeah, apparently she was only doing normal poses or fighting poses, so kind of had to. But yes, she is amazing, and she's tinier than you would think, but she has a very big personality. And she was at the table right next to Carrie Fisher, so Carrie Fisher kept flipping her off, and she was all like, Carrie Fisher, just flip me off! Princess Leia, just flip me off! And she's amazing.
She is. And her wrist has, I don't know, about 50 bracelets on it.
People kept giving her bracelets for some reason.
She likes it.
Yeah. And so, yes, her wrist is just full of bracelets.
and she actually tweeted a picture after both the cons she was at in her hotel room afterwards, laying all the bracelets out. It literally they're piled on the table there. So she definitely, if you see Ming-Na at a con, you bring her a bracelet. She will love it.
Is that all it takes? You just have to say you like something. Hey, everybody, I like dollar bills.
Okay, do you remember that Foo Fighters song, Big Me?
Yes.
When the music video came out, it was styled like a Mentos commercial.
Yes.
They had to stop doing that song at concerts because people kept throwing Mentos at them. That is an example of what people do when they associate something with someone. So, yes, that's all you have to do. That is literally all you have to do.
So one of the colleges I went to was the University of Minnesota, and I ended up going to a football game at the University of Michigan or Michigan, whatever, in Ann Arbor, football game versus Minnesota versus Michigan. And they have this great tradition in Michigan, by the way, where they put marshmallows in a storage container for every home game. And a year in advance. So a year later, they take them out. They're stale. They're harder than rocks. And they throw them at you. They pelt them at you. It's like, it's not fighting fair. Hard food. Not cool. All right. So you got a couple of tweet backs from that. One was from @Fayness from the Fae Supreme, said, OMFG, so adorable. Yeah, definitely. And also simultaneously from the Dallas Comic Con or Fan Expo Dallas, my co-host on Voices of Defiance was also there with y'all, and she tweeted a couple of pics of Agent May on her panel, and she said, our favorite Agent May. Did a couple of pics there, so really looking forward to hearing some audio from that. And Shannon also tweeted, said, I've watched 8 episodes of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. in 2 days. I almost said Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. Wing. I don't know whoever came up with the name on this podcast. If it was you, B, for Wing, the three of you, but you did such a great job. It's great.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. Everybody on the network is doing that, so it's so funny.
It's not just the network. Other people that know about the podcast do it too. It's great. So I've watched 8 episodes in 2 days while at work. Won't take me long to get there. She's trying to catch up because she's trying to win a bet. She's trying to get a new microphone to podcast with because Sean won't give her the good microphone. So there you go.
I'm sure she works enough. She can't get the good microphone. Come on.
She just doesn't know which one to buy.
She knows you. How does she not know which one to buy?
You know what? She tried to take some video, and apparently the setting on the camera was set for that 15-second burst mode instead of the full video, so she never got full video. That's why we don't have video from the Dallas Fan Expo, by the way, because up on the website is because Shannon had the wrong setting on the camera. Anyway, we also got, you know what? We've been getting emails all along from Andy. He, on his first watch through for Daredevil, gave us an email from every single episode. So it's great. They will be in the show notes. And I just want to point out a couple of things from this email. He says, nice, quote unquote, the Battle of New York headline in Benny's office. So that was good. Can't remember if that was from episode 1 or not, but yes, that was again in this episode. So a hashtag, it's all connected, right?
Yep.
Okay. Although I haven't seen any, have you seen any Hulk stuff?
I thought that I did in one episode, but I wasn't positive.
Yeah. So we'll have to keep it. If you have seen a Hulk Easter egg anywhere in Daredevil, let us know. Would really like to know that because I can't remember one. Maybe Haley remembers. She's good at remembering stuff. And also his last statement of his email, Andy said, so Kingpin feels alone and wants to build a better New York just to get more friends?
Well, yes.
Yeah. I don't really think that's it. I just think that it's because he doesn't have anyone to kind of be the positive influence on him. This is just how he thinks, you go about doing things efficiently. Of course, then again, Matt has friends, and the way that he thinks you go about doing this is by beating people up in small, dark alleys. So, really, neither of them are exactly the healthiest people with the best outlooks. But hey.
Have you ever met a healthy superhero? Mentally healthy superhero?
Nope.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, Barry Allen is not too bad.
Well, he's still screwed up with what's her name? His sister /
Well, that's really minor. Come on. That is really minor in the world of superhero. He's kind of normal.
Yeah, I guess. I saw a story about a guy getting emancipated from his adopted father so they could get married. And so, yeah, I suppose anything could happen. All right. So we are available for your feedback. You can give us, Haley's not with us, but Lauren and I can regale you of Science of Marvel. And I'm sure Jay can make stuff up. Wing, he'll just also make stuff.
I'm excellent at the technobabble.
That's right. You have to be being a Whovian. Or how awesome Peggy Cartier is. Haley Atwell, she crashed the set of Civil War. She's going to be around. She's going to have an even longer season 2. It's going to be great. So join us next week. We'll be discussing Daredevil, season 1, episode 4, In the Blood. We're going to have this time, we kind of teased it last week because Haley put the wrong name. So Jay, a little bit behind the scenes. So last week I said Ferris is going to be our special guest for next week because I'm Ron Burgundy and I'll read anything that's in front of me, right? So Haley had put the wrong name in there, and no less than 5 minutes later I get this text from Jay. I thought I was going to be on next week. So I was like, oh crap. And we're still on the post call, the three of us.
I'm Stargate Pioneer and go frack yourself.
Yeah, that's right. We're still on the post call. So I go into the schedule list. I'm like, yeah, Haley, it is Jay. She's like, oh crap. So yeah, that was Haley. And I'm just, at this point in time, I haven't edited that part of the podcast from last week. So I'm just going to leave that in there. And it's going to be a special Easter egg for this podcast. But yes, Ferris will be with us next week. So go ahead. Get us if you want to contact us, we got a lot of places to contact us. Just go to legendsofshield.com, go to the upper right hand side. You'll find all the great ways to contact us. Don't forget about our forums, forums.GonnaGeek.com, or search on your Tapatalk app for GonnaGeek, all one word. So thank you very much, Jay. Really appreciate you joining us for this awesome episode. And Wing, you too. Woot!
Right. Thank you very much. It's been a great time being able to talk about the show because it's just amazing.
It is
so good.
So
It's
good.
so good.
You both get your chance to come back again. It'll be great.
Yay!
Yeah.
I kind of sort of feel empowered, like the Star Wars podcast, the Star Wars Minute, where they have a guest on for 5 episodes, which is basically one recording session for them. And so I kind of feel like that this summer. It's great. So thank you guys very much for being a part of it. We couldn't have done this without you. It makes for a fun summer project. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank y'all for coming by. And thanks to everybody in the chat. We love y'all showing up. We love whenever y'all chime in. And thank you for everyone on Twitter. I'm still doing the live tweets.
Tuesday nights.
Yeah, Tuesday nights, 8 Central,
9
8 p.m.
Eastern.
Central, 9
Yep.
Eastern. And thanks to all the new listeners who've shown up after just whatever it is that we might have met y'all at, or if you've just stumbled on us. Thanks to all the old listeners. We love you, and we love hearing from you. You know how to get a hold of us. Please get a hold of us because we love you.
Absolutely. We don't do this to hear ourselves talk. We do it because we want to talk Marvel.
We do it a little bit to hear ourselves talk.
Just a little
I
bit.
have to
Just a
hear
little.
myself talk in order to edit, but no,
Yeah.
I actually want to interact with people and talk Marvels because this stuff is so good.
No,
Yeah.
it's really about having other people to talk with and sharing our love of all things Marvel. Right now, especially Daredevil.
Yeah, absolutely. And getting ready for AKA Jessica Jones. The
Yes!
season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., 3rd season coming up of that. Ant-Man, which I haven't seen too much more about that recently, but I don't know. Well, if Haley put it on the schedule, then we're going to have to go see it. We'll talk about it. So we just have to. I don't know. All right. So thank you very much. Thank you for everybody on Facebook for the likes. We've gotten a few new likes on Facebook, so thank you very much for that. So until next week, I'm Agent Stargate Pioneer.
I'm Agent Lauren.
I'm Jay Whitten, Avocado at Law.
And I'm Consultant Wing.
Bye. See you guys next week.
Later.
Thank you for listening. If you want to leave us feedback, go to GonnaGeek.com and you will find all of our contact information and other shows. You can also visit legendsofshield.com where you'll find our complete archive of podcasts. The music heard on this podcast is by Kevin MacLeod and can be found at incompetech.com. The opinions heard on this podcast are those of the individual host and do not represent Legends, Stream, or GonnaGeek. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is the property of the Disney Corporation. No infringement is intended.
Do you want to talk about the Robotech news?
No, what's up with Robotech?
James Wan is going to direct it after Aquaman.
Huh.
Yeah, we can throw that in there just because.
It's Robotech and Aquaman, and it's kind of related.
It's not Marvel.
It's not. The only reason I'd talk about it on this podcast is I like it. That's it. There's no Star Wars news that I know of.
I am actually planning to watch a few episodes of it because so me and my best friend went to go see Pitch Perfect 2 this weekend, and it was fun and awesome and amazing. And somehow we came out of it deciding to write a military sci-fi AU where they are piloting mechs.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah. And then as we're talking, Scott's like, this sounds like Robotech.
It's a great series for if you can get into the 80s anime.
Yeah, I've seen a whole bunch of it over Scott's shoulder from when it was Macross.
Yeah, well, yeah, there's different versions. Macross is one of them.
Yeah.
It's like Go Lion was the original Voltron.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that reminds me, I should turn off my TV so it does. Oh, Burger King, Jesus.
What'd they do? Oh, they got your order
back.
wrong.
No, the Burger King is back, and I hate him. He's terrifying. Just, oh my God, why? Whose bright idea was that? Oh my God, I'm gonna have a nightmare.
I hope somebody was recording that rant.
I did. I got it.
Seriously, the Burger King is the most horrible invention of the 21st century.
Okay. It's okay. The Burger King is not going to get you. I swear.
You don't know that.
Yes, I
Room
do.
at night and then shove Whoppers into your face while you're sleeping.
I work
Do you
in
remember-
publicity. Trust me. He's not.
Do you remember when Burger King was releasing those games, and there was that one. Yeah, and there was that one where like the whole point of it was to be creeping around on people.
Yep.
Yes.
It's Burger King.
Do you remember
the
sneaking?
Sneaking, yes.
I remember the McDonald's video game. Now I'm sorry.
I remember the commercial they had where like the person wakes up or something and the king is like in the bed with them.
Yes, and he's just standing at the end of the bed. This is how horror movies start, okay?
Burger King is your horror movie?
Yes.
It's better than some of the ones I've seen.
What is Ronald McDonald to you? The creepy burger clown. I mean, he's the clown prince of burger. Come on.
Okay, I'm really sorry if you start picking up weird stuff, but apparently somebody's going after like metal with a buzzsaw outside.
Well, you're dynamic.
So they're filming Transformers, huh?
I guess.
Jay, is your recorder all plugged in?
Yes, sir.
Lauren, are you good on your recorder?
Ow, ow, ow.
Take that as a no.
No, I smashed my finger. Ow.
On the recorder or on the keyboard?
Jesus. On my foot. God. What? Ah.
Wow.
I'm so sorry, Lauren.
That was really not your fault. Okay, so who's doing the because of?
Jay.
I am.
Unless you have.
Okay. I do not have one.
Then don't worry about it because Jay's got one. He told me. He didn't know he wasn't supposed to tell me, but he told me.
Oh, well, okay.
Well, I don't know it, so.
1, 2.
I couldn't put it in, so I had to tell somebody.
1, 2. No, you don't.
You just say you got one.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm sorry that I haven't been around very much.
I know. Well, it's in the outtakes for last week, which isn't actually out yet, so it's all right.
I don't even remember recording last week's.
You and Haley, was I here this week? Haley said that last week. She's like, did I even record last week? And we're like, yes.
Well, to be fair, I had freaking wires strung up to my head, so
what?
I think that's fair.
By the way, I've been really enjoying the 6 Plus. It's crazy.
It is, isn't it? Love it.
I don't know how I was doing with the smaller phone. Now I look at other phones and I'm like, tiny.
I go back to the 4 and the 4S to use as soundboards on like Starling Tribune and Voices Defiance. I'm like, I get what? And then I use one on the treadmill too to track my runs and stuff. Like, no. The keyboard, the little, tap keyboard. It's like, my thumb goes over like 6 keys. Like, dang.
Yeah. But it took like 10 hours. The next day I took my old phone to check something and I was like, whoa. Okay. No. So yeah, I've been enjoying it a lot.
I should have asked before I went live. Lauren, you got anything more to get out?
No, so long as I don't smash my finger again.
Against your foot?
Yes. Well, I smashed it between my foot and my desk, okay? It's one of the few times that we see Matt. I think I just said that we see Matt